The council hall was filled with voices arguing, demanding, each noble clawing for their own advantage. They threw your name like a stone across the table, as though you were a bargaining piece, not my reason to exist. My jaw locked, my hands tightened around the arms of my chair, but I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. For in that silence, I made my decision. I would not allow them to decide your fate. I would not allow their greedy fingers to touch the threads of your future. If I had to burn every treaty, shatter every bond, exile every serpent dressed as an Hollywood. And I did. That day, something in me hardened beyond repair. That day, I ceased to be their prince and became your weapon. From then on, every step I took was calculated with you as the measure. I abandoned the dreams I once had, the freedoms that were promised to me at birth. I locked away the boy who once believed in kindness, in trust, in the warmth of human loyalty. That boy would have been too fragile to survive what was coming. So I buried him beneath the crown, beneath the armor, beneath the ruthless stare that even the bravest knights lower their eyes before. And when they whisper of me in fear, when they call me unyielding, merciless, cursed, let them. They are not wrong. I became all those things so that you would never have to. Do you know what it is to be feared by your own court? To walk into a hall and watch men who once thought themselves untouchable flinch at your silence. To see your reflection in their terrified eyes, and recognize that you have become a monster of necessity. I do. And I carry that weight without complaint. Because what they cannot see, what they will never be allowed to see, is that every strike, every ruthless command, every decision that painted my hands with shadows, was done with one thought burning inside me: your safety, your peace, your untouched future. There were nights when I stood on the balcony, the kingdom stretching endlessly beneath me, stars scattered across a black sky. And in those moments, when the world was silent, when even the guards dared not speak, I felt the fracture inside me most. I would close my eyes and whisper your name, letting it echo against the emptiness of my chest, as if saying it could fill the hollow I carved when I chose this path. I thought of the life I might have had if I had been selfish, if I had chosen love instead of duty, if I had allowed myself the smallest piece of happiness at your side. But then I would remember the vultures, sir. It happened quietly, in a moment that seemed almost ordinary, yet it shifted everything for them. She was sitting by her window late at night, staring at the city lights that blinked like restless stars, her phone glowing in her hand. He was on the other side of the world, his day just beginning, his voice carrying the fatigue of endless responsibilities. They had spoken countless times before, shared laughter, shared silence, shared promises, but that night felt different. Something in her heart whispered that the time for waiting, for endlessly dreaming, had passed. The distance had taught them patience, yes, but it had also carved an age so deep that pretending they could live separate lives any longer felt unbearable. And when she finally spoke, her voice trembled with the weight of her decision. I don't want to just imagine you anymore. I want to be with you really, fully, whatever it takes. Her words fell like rain into the draught of his longing. For months, he had wrestled with the same thoughts, the same hunger for a life, not limited to glowing screens and time-zone gaps. He wanted mornings with her, the kind where her sleepy smile was the first thing he saw. He wanted the simplicity of holding her hand while walking down the street, the quiet comfort of sitting beside her without needing to speak. And now, hearing her bare her heart so openly, he felt a fiery ignite within him, a determination he had always carried, but which now roared into certainty. With steady resolve, he answered her, "Then let's stop waiting. We've survived every storm, now it's time to build the life we promised each other." From that night onward, their conversations changed. They still dreamed, but now their dreams were mapped with plans. They talked about flights and visas, about jobs and cities, about all the small and large details that would turn hope into reality. It wasn't easy. The path ahead was tangled with obstacles. Finances, paperwork, the judgments of others who couldn't understand a love so deeply rooted in distance. All of it loomed like mountains before them. But for the first time, they didn't see those mountains as impossible. They saw them as challenges to be conquered together. What had once been a distant someday, now began to take shape as a near and certain future. And yet, amidst all the planning, what touched them most was how their love deepened in the small things. When she doubted herself, afraid that the weight of the unknown might crush her, he reminded her of every storm she had survived, every strength he saw in her that she sometimes overlooked. When he felt trapped in the heaviness of his responsibilities, she was his light, reminding him that he was not alone, that someone across the world believed in him more fiercely than he believed in himself. Their love became more than longing. It became fuel, a constant source of courage that carried them forward when fear threatened to pull them back. It was in those days that they realized something beautiful. Love was not just a feeling, it was a decision. Every morning, they chose each other despite the distance, despite the uncertainty, despite the countless voices that might have told them to give up. And with each choice, their bond grew unshakable, as if the universe itself was molding them into something stronger than either had ever imagined. The day would come, soon, when one of them would step off a plane and into the arms of the other. They would no longer count hours between their conversations, no longer measure love in pixels on a screen. They would taste the reality of everything they had waited for, the warmth of an embrace that distance could no longer steal. But until that day, they carried on with faith, with devotion, with the kind of love that had already proven itself unbreakable. And in their hearts, they knew the truth. They were not simply surviving distance, they were building a forever. The weeks leading up to their reunion were some of the longest and most restless days of their lives. Every moment felt stretched, every hour heavy with anticipation. She would wake up counting down the days, staring at the little calendar she had marked with a red circle on the date of his arrival. Each morning, she would whisper to herself, one day closer to him. Her nights were restless, filled with dreams of seeing his face not through a screen, but across a crowded airport terminal, walking toward her with the same smile that had carried her through so many lonely nights. For him, the wait was both exhilarating and exhausting. His days were filled with preparations, booking tickets, gathering documents, making sure everything was in place so nothing could stand in the way of that long-awaited moment. But beyond the logistics, his heart was in a constant state of longing. He would find himself pausing during ordinary tasks, lost in thought, imagining how it would feel to finally hold her. To hear her laughter not muffled through